Hello, I'm Hannah Devito, and I'm going to discuss my capstone. When I began my thesis, I aimed to use poetry to portray grief and loss as cycles of physical and emotional distance through which we can understand the individual and group identity. I was informed by works like Chang's Obit and Trethewey's Memorial Drive. Now my poetry collection establishes grief as liminal spaces in which loved ones are immortalized within the solar system, while my living speaker is left behind on Earth trying to reconnect. I envision my poems as deep fissures in emotion that visualize grief as the unexplorable depths of the ocean and space. In these combined realms of ocean and outer space, I've created liminal spaces that connect my speaker to the losses they grieve. By positing grief as a liminal space, I aim to delineate Kubler-Ross's 5 stages of grief and establish grief as a nonlinear cycle. The grief-filtered memories of my poems are liminal spaces to rhetorically process grief. My work is in conversation with Tracy K. Smith's Life on Mars. Her exploration of outer space as an elegy for her father inspired my exploration of a liminal space that combines Earth with the illusory cosmos. As my speaker explores the liminal space of grief between space and Earth, more becomes unknown about our potential connections to the afterlife. In my capstone, I explore homonyms and symbols for my family members' names and roles to form conceits that elucidated specific qualities of theirs that I seek within myself in this liminal space of grief. For example, my grandmother was named Rosetta, so I explored a conceit in which she is symbolized as the Rosetta Stone. I further explored this conceit by introducing the ESA's Rosetta spaceship. Additionally, my poems observe the ways in which grief perseveres over time as inherited familial characteristics become clearer, such as the inherited habits and facial features. Big Dipper, Little Dipper. I looked for you in a never-ending sky filled with eyes, crowded by the many stars that came before me. I'm afraid to step on your toes or twirl through the galaxy with our dresses damp from dancing, so distant from the shoreline, bathing in the Big Dipper and the Little One too. I searched among strewn satellites and muddled beaches for the endlessly recycled features that defined you as human. A lock of blonde hair exploding within the brightest supernova, or your nose crooked from years of rebellion submerged by the revolutions of Saturn's gaseous glow. Yet your words drift aimlessly between us because I can't remember your voice anymore. I still look for you, and I find traces in my eyes, uniquely average reminders. I found the pupil Milky Way nestled among your forgotten trinkets, an empty brass locket and a wooden cross you no longer needed, added to my collection and polished until I could see the black hole of my every stanza in my freshwater reflection alone. At my fingertips. I've tried to summon you with quilted designer bags and coral Estee Lauder lipstick, your size 6 shoes overfilled with my blistered feet, fingers with arthritic knobs turned, in my palm, gold rings intimately impressing their star cluster into skin. My only inheritance when the sandcastle safe harbor fails to maintain structural integrity with each revolution of Saturn's rings, flinging silt across the galaxy. It's impossible to catch each grain as the moment drifts farther into obscurity. I listened to every gasping breath as you choked, organs failing, yet you held onto the beach we'd visited last, toes writhing in sand as you watched me drown my tears in salt water from the latest heartbreak. You slip away, leaving behind metallic rings and ash. And finally, an excerpt from Rosetta Stone. My grandmother was a natural treasure. Wrinkled white granite, highlighted, angular cheeks carved with blush. Consumed by an ethereal vanity that transcended the limitations of her body, age is but a negotiation of wisdom in exchange for ephemeral youth. She was our foundation for discovery, languages inked on emerald eyes lined with laughing crow's feet. Yet she was lost in a foreign orbit, isolated from the years she'd spent on the farm that birthed her.